We're all about facts, not fear at DVL, and providing that information to keep you and your loved ones safe. And we have the lovely Dr. Payal Kohli. She joins us live, and she is in, floral. I love her in floral. Before we get to viewer questions, we talked earlier about lockdown fatigue hitting an all-time high and people wanting to get out. How do you convince people to keep sheltering when they are ready to go back to normal?
So Tori and Al, more than anyone, I want life to go back to normal as well, and I'm really anxious for that to happen. But I'm really worried that if we don't have a controlled start, we're going to take one step forward and 5 steps back. And we've seen this happen with the Spanish flu, where that second wave was much bigger and caused many more deaths because people got complacent after they flattened the curve with the first wave. So I have 2 arguments that I would use for people to convince them. The first is the scientific argument. We know there's a contagious virus out there. There's no vaccine. There's no treatment, and it spreads by close contact. So if you separate the people, that's the only way to stop the spread. So that's the scientific argument to get people to stay home. The second is the consequences argument. So think about the consequences of what you're doing. So, you know, if we go out there and start getting out of the house because we're just tired of being home, that could lead to people dying, deaths that are potentially preventable. It could lead to a second hit to our economy, and it could lead to our healthcare system getting overwhelmed. So I would say think about all of those things before you make that decision to go to the beach or go outside and you know, do things that you can put off doing.
You heard it from the expert. Well, let's get to viewer questions. This was the first weekend a lot of people actually, places of worship reopened their doors. So Brenda asks, is it okay to go back to church if they're practicing social distancing and if I'm wearing a mask?
So the safest thing, Brenda, unfortunately, is for you to stay home and just participate in the service virtually, because we know a few things for sure. We know that gatherings, no matter what size, whether they're greater than 10 or less than 10, increase your risk of infection. We also know that closed indoor spaces like churches and restaurants and beauty parlors increase your risk of infection. So the safest thing really is to stay home. If you feel very strongly about going to church and really want to be present physically in church, then wearing masks and social distancing is the next best alternative, but it does increase your risk a little bit.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, Doc, first of all, great to talk to you from studio. It's been a long time.
You too, Al, they let you out of your house?
They did. I'm a free man. And I do want to pass this question on from my man, Tony. He's a viewer, and he says, can you explain herd immunity to me? I keep hearing about it, but I'm not sure what it means.
This is a really important concept scientifically and something that we're really counting on with this virus. So let's talk about what herd immunity is. It's basically the concept that you get immunity by being part of a herd or being part of a group of people. And essentially what that means is that if enough people in your herd actually become immune to the virus, it stops or slows the spread of the virus. And the reason is because those people that are immune can no longer spread the virus. So even though I may not have immunity, just by hanging out with Tori and Al, who both have immunity, I would be protected because they can't bring the virus to me. Now, there's 2 ways to get immunity. One is to get the virus and recover, and the other is to get vaccination. But in order for herd immunity to work, enough of the herd has to have immunity to slow down the spread. And for this virus, that's a 60 to 70% of people have to have immunity to this virus, either through prior infection or through vaccination. And currently, the WHO is estimating that only 2 to 3% of people across the world likely have immunity. So we have a ways to go with herd immunity, and that's why we're really counting on that vaccine to come through so that we can start using herd immunity to protect ourselves.
It's like Tom Hanks and like Rita Wilson and like one other person have immunity. So we got to slow it down here.
Right.
Before we go, it's time for what we all love. Dr. Kohli's silver lining, l'chaim, everyone, to life. Today, you wanted to talk about the different ways people are helping out, even business owners.
Yeah, Tori. So, you know, it's been a really rough time, and a lot of us have gotten knocked off our feet due to losing our jobs. And I found this very interesting because it's a novel way to actually find people jobs and get them back on their feet. So it's actually a company called Silver Lining. So they stole my thing, and I'll forgive them for that. But I have no ties to the company, but I do find it very nice because they're connecting people that are out of work with people that are looking for work. And mainly they're connecting people in technology jobs, which can be done remotely. So I think it's a really great way if you're somebody who's lost your job or can't work right now, you know, to try to see if you can find someone who's looking for work that you can help out with and get yourself back on your feet.
Well, I'll take silver linings wherever I can get them, but you really make them glisten. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Dr. Coley. Of course, she will be back on Monday. She's like, oh, please. If you have a question about coronavirus you want answered by Dr. Coley, just write us on social media. You can also email info@dailyblastlive.com. There's no panic here. Remember, there's just prevention and precautions and a little bit of love.